Good morning, good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Uh, my name is Gawel Solosky. I am from Bengal University. My research topic is dark fermentation, and this dark fermentation will be delivered by me today. Uh, Thank you for giving me this opportunity. And what dark fermentation is? Dark fermentation is special case of anaerobic digestion which stops on formation of hydrogen, and it is not process continued to form methane. This is of course the traditional pathway of dark fermentation, which it contains pyruvic. There is also some unnatural pathway in case of genetically modified bacteria and specially designed modified enzymes that produce a mixture that can overcome this pathway, which is natural pathway, and for only hydrogen. But this form is not very well researched. Many researchers disagree, only some, because the possibility of this second way is very low still. Thus, the major line of dark fermentation is the pathway which leads to methane, to the hydrogen by methane fermentation, but stop in the least step, so only hydrogen production. However, in both pathways, we are using similar process, similar way to stop producing this hydrogen, to stop producing methane, not hydrogen. So not hydrogen which be produced, and carbonic dioxide and nitric acid or acetic acid occurring in this stage will not be converted into methane. This is usually formed due to pretreatment, special preparation of this bacteria. In modified, there is also necessary. Therefore, is not such great difference in this case. But what are conditions of dark fermentation in process conditions? The process conditions are temperature depending of kind of bacteria. There are three kinds of bacteria, that depending upon the temperature. There are psychophilic, mesophilic, and thermophilic. These three types differs upon temperature during which the bacteria feels the best, so the conditions are high, the optimal production of metabolites. Because in our case, we want to, in case of hydrogen production, isn't a product which is simply or produce, but is simply metabolite. So this is somehow excavating after the conversion of food. As a result, this food is converted to energy. In case of traditional into pyruvic acid, and then this is the way which creates energy and some material. Similarly to our urinary system, or or where we use our food and transform uh, into into urea. But in their case, in case of bacteria, is much simpler process. So using just feed and doing this feed, also using some parallelly some protein waste which comes for other bacteria to produce this hydrogen. As in case of human urea. Human urea is not produced all the time as very fast way, but after some time, after few feed. Therefore, in case of bacteria, when we give a feed, in case of our bacteria of water fermentation, the feed is here some some organic waste by design, but in fact the optimum material is used to be simple organic waste in case of natural way. So so glucose, glycerol, and proteins as glycerine, but however glycerine is least favored. But in case of bacteria, they can also produce this feed from more complex material, but needs much more energy to digest them. So are very more slower. However, if we add, this modification of genetical bacteria, that these bacteria can more digest the complex matter, polymers or cellulose, which transfer directly to hydrogen, not by breaking this molecule of cellulose due to hydrolysis into some simple compounds like glucose or fructose. This is the preparations of other characteristics, other process variable. Beside temperature, which is for in case of mesophilic 36 to 40 degrees, while to thermophilic 55 to 60 degrees Celsius, and to psychophilic 20 and 30. These bacteria used to also some kind of bacteria that produce more or better hydrogen. These producing more hydrogen are considered to be more fragile than other bacteria to some unexpected events, like, for example, fresh air coming to the reactor mixture. Because of this, these bacteria, which are better producing hydrogen, so are based in design, base of the process, biological process that we design, are called strict bacteria. Rest bacteria, which are supposed to less producing hydrogen, but are more resistant to some specific conditions of adding air, are called facultative. Strict bacteria are mostly from Clostridium type. Some other are some hyperthermophilic bacteria, but mostly coming from Vesuvius, which are not thermobacterium kinds, which are not from Clostridium, but mostly from Clostridium. The facultative bacteria are coming from Enterobacter, Citrobacterium, and some other, like Escherichia coli, also especially modified, can be dark fermentation bacteria. This is causing the producing. However, we know the cases where Clostridium are not so fragile to air and survive. The good example is that Clostridium perfringens, which has quite high efficiency, but due to the pathogenic character, are not very likely to choose to investigations. Because this bacteria, if it comes to your wound, they can be responding as infection called gangrene. In this case, if your wound or some parts are infected by this bacteria, Clostridium perfringens, according to reports from 1995, because no one else after this investigated this, the vessels have hydrogen of even 15 to 30% of gases that occur on gas gangrene infected part of body. Therefore, the hydrogen produced in this case can be so high that can even explode the body after this. This happened in case of body of buried King of England, Henry VIII, in 1546. Therefore, we see that very explosive and can be quite useful in our case. Other case of documentation, mostly by Enterobacter, is the bacteria decay of your teeth. The bacteria, as you know, our early gastric part of body, which is our mouth, is designed to digest some sugars first. But our part enzymes sometimes not work so efficiently, so some rest occur and comes to your teeth. Because are too much to your enzymes to solve and to digest, they keep in your teeth. After some time, some bacteria will come to you if you don't clean your teeth. Then this bacteria will start eating your tooth layer from food, especially from sugar. And then, because this bacteria produces some acid, this acid will destroy your teeth. And this to the holes of your teeth comes this bacteria. And then starting producing hydrogen into this hole. And then your teeth is broken after some time because of this hydrogen. So you see that in nature we have some examples working quite well, but we still mostly work our dark fermentation efficiency by preparing special bacteria, but not so well like nature. We cannot still use this repetition. Therefore, we found only pretreatment method. Why we want to make it? Because our organic waste are very, very big trouble. We produce to feed us much of food we need to process, but only some part of food, some of part of uh, our cultivated plants are edible for us. Rest are spilled. Even if we make this food, we don't eat fully, and we seems that we don't very well manage because this unused food is usually by garbage. We need to put it into some place to utilize. These bacteria very quite well because conversion is high. Hydrogen production is not in natural very high, but still quite be so high that some hydrogen be useful for other processes that don't use much hydrogen, but it's used like, for example, methane processes. Because next process, which is methane, is much more efficient. But for this efficiency, high efficiency needs to be shifted by some hydrogen addition. So dark fermentation process can be such process that upgrades this process and makes the problem of waste. The other way, which is hydrogen needed, is replace our conventional method because we both need hydrogen and methane from natural way, from more waste produced nowadays, not for conventional method, which is gas or oil or coal, which will be soon depleted. Therefore, the bioprocess evolving is very important because it helps us to, to solve problem of environmental degradation and keep our life maintaining on the uh, modern level. Because if we don't use our time which we have, we soon, if we will be depleted, our world will be full of waste, and we need have to we come back to era which was before we found engines, before we found so very very terrible conditions will be really. So our future is to develop these processes to keep our lifestyle in nowadays position. Thank you very much.